Hello and welcome to the Musty Creative, and welcome to a discussion of our reaction to Emilia Perez. I have here a new guest host. This is Carlos. He's a good friend of mine,
Hello,
and
everybody.
a lover of film. So welcome to the Musty Creative, Carlos. How you doing?
Very good, man. Very good. Thank you so much for having me on today. Very looking forward to it. It's gonna be fun.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we're gonna talk about Emilia Perez. We're not gonna spend a super long time because we just watched it, so it's a little raw
Fresh.
for us, a little raw, a little fresh. But I guess first off, it did get nominated for Best Picture, and I can see why. I see there's many good things about it, but I could also see why there is blowback about this nomination. So, Carlos, from a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best for 2024, not of all time, but 2024, where would you rank Amelia Perez?
Okay, that's interesting because I haven't seen too many movies from 2024. So if I had to rank it against everything I saw, I would probably still give it like a 6 out of 10.
No, that's fair. I think it's very fair.
Yeah. Uh, like you said, there are definitely things about it that work. I can see certain reasons why it was nominated for so many Academy Awards this year. Um, visually it looks pretty great,
Yeah, cinematography is excellent.
and there's a lot to be said about it. But there's also it is quite messy. Like
Yeah,
I can't help but understand why this movie has received so much backlash. You know,
yeah. And from all sides, from what I can gather, right? It's obviously there are those who don't want any stories of transgender people out there, and that's not what we're talking about. I think
yeah,
this story is great in the sense that it highlights the transgender community in the sense of like having a lead main character be the main focal point and their story of like their transition be the main focal point. I
yeah,
haven't seen that before from like a major, Hollywood production. And so from that angle, we don't really care about the hate that's going against that. But
yeah,
what we do care about is the actual film itself. Like objectively, is it telling a great story? Is the pacing correct? Is the plotting good? Are the performances great? And that's where we have some issues.
some issues. Yeah. So maybe we should get some of the good, some of what we liked out of the way first.
Yes, yes,
Got a little dog back
yes.
there. So yeah, you mentioned performances. I think the two leads are the strongest part of the movie. Um,
Yeah,
I feel bad I didn't do the research. We just saw it.
we
The
just
the
saw it.
actress
Yeah,
who plays Amelia Perez,
great
I,
job, great
I
job.
think her name is Carla something something. I'm sorry, I can't remember,
Oh
but
no, it's all good.
she was great. We see her play the role of the character pre and post transition,
Oh
and I
really? That
think
was that was her. That was her in both those characters.
yes, that's
Wow.
I'm like 99% sure. I would be shocked if they got someone else for the pre scenes. The makeup in those scenes very good too.
Yeah.
Very believable performance as both those characters. I thought. What did
Agreed.
you think of the lead performance?
Yeah. So I want to say the character before the transition was Manitas.
Yes, Manitos, I think Manitas, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
something like that. And then obviously Amelia Perez when the transition happens. So I thought that performance was really well done, especially once you get into the second act. To
yeah,
me, the second act and the parts within Mexico were just like astounding as far as like where the plot moved. Because I thought once the transition was over, I thought, well, what else is there to tell as far as the story? But the
yeah,
fact that they went into, recovering bodies from cartel killings and murders, which Amelia Perez's former life had a great deal of responsibility in
yeah.
providing. That was something I was not expecting, and I did enjoy that part of the story a lot. And
Makes sense.
so, but the performances there were really good, and just like the small subtle moments where she had like a romance with another
Yeah.
woman. The fact, the parts where she was trying to be like this loving family, like auntie
Yeah.
to her sons, but obviously didn't reveal that to the sons that was actually their parent. I thought that was
Yeah.
really well done. Um, the moments where she was falling back into like the old ways
Hmm.
when she had the fight with Jesse was really good. And then
Yeah.
also just kind of like trapping Rita into the situations that she kind of kept putting Rita like, no, you must stay here with me. You
Yeah.
want to be here in Mexico. Why you want to go back to London? What's in London for you? Just the manipulation, all the control factors that exist with both those characters. I thought in the second act were really like well revealed there. Um, but then Zoe Saldana as well, like even though her character didn't get fully fleshed out, I thought she had like
Mhm.
strong performances within the scenes that she was given.
Yeah, and like I know, yeah, I see what you're saying. I really liked the overall concept, like the premise.
The premise
Um,
was really good.
just like dealing with masculinity in general in such a specific situation with a
Yeah.
cartel kingpin in Mexico and Mexico. You know, I think there's a lot you can do there. I like there's a scene in the movie where we see Emilia performing her new role to her children as an auntie, but the in one of the many musical numbers, we see the kids communicating that Emilius, is reminding them a lot of their father, you know,
Yeah. One of the boys is singing to her. Yeah.
but she can't admit who she is to them because of who she is now. And scenes like that I think are really strong. And going into that, I like those ideas, those concepts of masculinity and of like your gender role, who you are to your kid after you know changing your life in such a way. Scenes like that. That's what I think I like the most in the movie, probably.
Yeah. And then the subtle, like not subtle, but sometimes direct conflicts of just like dealing with your past life. Like the instance where, you know, the woman that became later her lover had a knife, and it looked like the way they set up the tension was she was going to stab Amelia Perez, but then we find out that this woman was constantly being abused by her husband and was actually thankful that he was actually dead, and so
Yeah,
turned a scene that had all this tension that was built up in my chest. I was like, oh, okay, I'm waiting for the stabbing to happen,
yeah,
and then having it kind of soothe itself out into a moment of like you could relax, and then the next scene following up that they, became lovers. It's like okay, like the movie had a lot of good points to it, and was I think from a writing standpoint and a plotting standpoint had some amazing moments and was really doing a good job in certain spots in the movie.
yeah,
But that's kind of where it ends for me.
yeah.
The good.
Some of the cinematography is pretty strong.
That's true.
There's some
Cinematography was strong.
striking visuals here and there, some good use of lighting. But yeah, that's kind of it too for me.
Yeah.
I
I
think. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah. I do want to say one thing though with the
Yeah,
cinematography. There are really a lot of good choices made. So for instance, like the camera like on the boy's bicycle, just showing the bag that would be
yeah,
delivered.
I like
That
that
was really
shot too.
great. The shot where Zoe Saldana is like singing around a room at a dinner party,
Yeah,
where Emilia Perez is trying to like raise money for her foundation. That was really like the shots there were really great there.
hmm,
The news segment where they're being interviewed, but it's a smaller aspect ratio and it's kind of
yeah, it's like
grainy.
letterboxed kind of a little bit.
Yeah, that was really amazing. Even the opening
Letterboxing.
scene, um, when Rita is like typing out the narrative for this court case that she's about to be in. Like there's so many really well done shots. The lighting was great. Everyone's well lit, especially for a
Yeah,
movie about with a lot of people of color. I never felt like the shadows were overtaking them, and I thought they're all like well seen in the movie.
yeah, yeah. I agree. But I guess that
Yes.
leads us into the other big, the elephant in the room. I guess the musical aspect of this movie. it
Yeah.
is a musical, right? These are all original songs and set
Hmm.
pieces. And this is probably where our biggest, you and I, our biggest issue comes in with this movie.
Yes. Yeah. I groaned every time almost that a song
Yeah,
came.
yeah, pretty much. And it's one of those two where, like, I would say, I don't know how you feel about musicals in general. You enjoyed Wicked quite a bit this last year, right? So,
Yeah, I'm a fan of musicals.
right.
I was not a fan of this being a musical.
Yeah, because anytime a musical number started in this movie, it felt like it grinded the scene, like the momentum to a halt that this movie
Yes.
was building.
Yes.
Because every scene that's not a musical is fairly well done, right?
Yeah.
Like there are certain scenes where characters are just talking, and it's really compelling, and the performances are great. But then one of them starts singing, and then you're reminded, oh, we have to be a musical as well for this movie.
Yeah.
But the problem is none of these songs, maybe like one or two, but besides that,
Yeah.
they're all forgettable. The singing is bad. Let's just call it what it is. They're
Yeah.
all pretty bad singers in it.
Or at least
And
the way that they're supposed to perform the songs.
yeah, yeah, like the way
Yeah.
they're directed, they're not trying to sound like Broadway singers, which is
Hmm.
fine, that's a choice, but when you're making a musical and none of the music's good, why are you doing it?
Yeah. The only song that I liked was the "Papa You Smell" or, uh, um, sorry,
Yeah.
what's the Spanish word for auntie or
Well,
aunt?
Auntie is Tia.
Yeah, she was like, "Tia, you smell like papa," or something like that. Like
Yeah.
that, I will actually go and find that song and listen to it because I thought that song was good. It was great for where it was in the story. It was the only song that I think belonged in the movie.
Yeah. I remember
Besides that,
yeah.
that's it for me.
I remember saying to you when we were watching it, like, this is the first song that actually feels appropriate. Like every
Yes.
other scene when music started, it just felt like an obligation. Like we need to have this musical number here. Let's just get on with it. Like I just they just didn't work.
No, they didn't. They didn't.
Yeah.
And that leads me into really what saddens me about this movie because it has such great potential. Like you said before, the premise is great. It's compelling to
Yeah.
have a cartel boss make a transition and you know be from a man into a woman like that. That's super compelling. I was like engaged as soon as that part of the film started. And then, like I said before, the second act in Mexico, like I really enjoyed all the situations that Emilia Perez was caught up in.
Yeah.
But the first act and the second act, and sorry, the first act and the third act were just the first act was too abrupt, and we didn't build up Rita's character enough, and we didn't
Yeah.
get enough backstory for Emilia, or I guess Mancita's character at the time,
Mhm.
to really see how ruthless of a cartel boss this person would be.
Yeah.
So when Rita gets that phone call, it really means nothing of like, oh, there's just a creepy person. And I think when she gets kidnapped, something bad's gonna happen to her. There's no instance of thinking like this could be a call for something greater. And it's really
Yeah.
unfortunate. And to be honest, for me, I would have made the choice of saying, have Rita be more of a supporting character as far as the amount of like camera time that Rita got,
Yeah.
and make Emilia Perez the main character of the film. And
Open with
really, from
her.
the very beginning, we meet Mancitas,
Yeah.
and we like meet Rita like later on.
Yeah, and that kind of brings in my other big problem with the movie too, is that so much of the information we're given, we're just told, and we're not shown it. And
Yeah,
that's another thing, like, we're constantly told that at the start that, manitos, I can't remember the name, but
yeah,
the drug kingpin formerly that became Emilia Perez.
Emilia Perez. Yeah,
We're constantly told that this person is like ruthless, that they've done all these horrible things, but we're never shown any of it. And then that sort of is a trend that this movie continues, is that throughout, we're always told things that happened, but never shown them. You
Or
like,
we're sung, or it's sung to us.
or it's sung to us in ways that it's basically just the dialogue, but in a sing-songy tune, because whoever wrote the music for this, sorry, had no real business writing a musical. None of these songs. Can you whistle any of these songs? Like we just
No, I
watched it.
don't. The tunes I don't remember
There's
at
like
all.
no memorable tunes,
Yeah,
and so yeah,
and
that's
that.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
No, it was just like that was just it. Like so much of this, these scenes are just like we mentioned earlier. There's that scene that where that woman comes in and finds out that her husband was already dead, and it's a very
Great scene.
subversive, great scene that leads into this little romance between the two, but it doesn't go any further. And then later on, when we see this character again, we're told, "Oh yeah, you guys are in love," but it's like we didn't see any of that. We're just told now, "Oh, their connection is this deep." Like it, I just didn't buy it, and
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a song where Emilia Perez is saying that I'm in love with you, right? And they do a lot of these
sure,
transitional things, like they're in a commercial almost.
hmm,
But and then yeah, then it gets later on where the romantic partner comes and meets Rita, and Rita says that line of like, "Oh, ever since she's met you, she's been like a teenager." We haven't seen that,
yeah, we never
and
saw any of
so
it.
it feels I feel betrayed in the sense as an audience member because I want to see that story. I want to know more about the story. I want to see Amelia happy because that is why, to me, that's why she made that change when she's talking to the doctor. It's like,
Yeah,
she says like I've been wanting to kill myself,
hmm,
but I thought why not try to like before I die live the life that would make me most happy. And
yeah,
I was actually glad to see Amelia kind of accomplish that, even though in the back of my mind I'm thinking, you killed a lot of people, you hurt a lot of families to get to this point. But yeah,
yeah,
I felt really disappointed with that because there's so much good storytelling in this movie, but the songs really take us out of the immersion.
yeah. And that also, okay, I don't know. We're not spoiling this movie in this discussion, are we? Or
No, we are. We
okay,
are. Yeah.
like, and what you were saying too about in the back of your head, you're thinking like she did kill all these people. At
Hmm.
the end of the film, they
Yeah.
celebrate her as this
Yes.
hero and completely ignore all the bad she did in the movie. And like the argument can be made, oh well, the whole movie's about redeeming her,
Yeah.
but I don't think they redeemed her enough in this movie. I don't know. Like,
No, I mean you could also make the argument that the people singing don't know her past, which is
yeah,
true. But that's why one of the best scenes in the movie that could have made it even better, like very Oscar worthy,
yeah,
is when she has the fight with Jessie, her ex-wife, played by Selena Gomez, and says, "These are my children," and for some reason, Jessie doesn't understand that. Oh,
oh, sorry, buddy.
you're my. Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
My bad.
You're my ex-husband. You're Mancitas, or
Yeah,
So
that. Sorry,
yeah.
go.
No,
that
no. Go
whole
ahead. Go ahead. Go
that
ahead.
whole
Yeah.
aspect of the movie was frustrating because I kept thinking, okay, well, Jessie, she's smarter than this. She probably has figured out from the start, from the start, who Emilia Perez is. And then when
Yeah.
that scene happened, I'm like, okay, now she's figured it out, but it didn't click yet. It takes her so long to figure out who Amelia is. She basically has to just spell it out to her at the end, and even
Yeah.
then,
With the song.
she's still confused, and it's like, oh, it's like when she's found out, the audience is like, okay, we're done with you. Like, you haven't figured it out
Yeah.
at this point. And yeah, so it's just kind of these conveniences for the sake of the story, Like, um, there's that moment when Zoe Saldana, her character, like obviously looks to the side where all those people with guns are, and to provoke
Mercy.
a gunfight to
Yeah.
happen at the end of the movie. It's like, I don't know, a lot of
Yeah.
sloppy.
This movie. If you're gonna do the action, I think you do it earlier to set up how bad this cartel really was, how much destruction they poured upon the people of Mexico. But at the end, that gunfight was very useless. Gustavo, another miscast as well,
Yeah,
and
miscast, and underwritten character, like
Hmm.
completely just inconsequential to the plot until the very end, when he should have
Yeah,
been much more prevalent in the movie.
and we also don't know like how did Gustavo like was Gustavo Sicario? Did he have connections that we just didn't know about? Like,
Yeah, kind
there's so
of
much left
murky.
there. Yeah, so much left there. But in the end, for me, 1 out of 10, I'm gonna give it a 5.
All right, yeah,
Personally, I think it is a good film. It's just like I don't think it's a bad film, but I give it a 5 because that third act was that ending climax was just not selling it at all. The
yeah.
music just made me groan constantly throughout the movie, and Selena Gomez was almost unwatchable.
Yeah, that's something we didn't get into. My lord, like, my goodness, excuse me.
And I like her. I'm not against
Yeah,
her. I
I'm not
just
against her either.
yeah,
Miscast. That's the
yeah,
nicest way to put it, I think.
yeah,
She had some scenes where it was genuinely, like you said, hard to watch.
yeah.
You know, look, not everybody can learn a language that quickly. I don't want to give her too much guff for not speaking perfect Spanish. I myself should be fluent, but I have trouble.
But you're more of a speaker of Spanish than myself.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have hurt them to cast someone who could speak the language well.
Yeah, like, and this is always something that's been hard for me because I do have a Latin background. My name's Jesus,
Yeah,
but I don't really know the language. I don't really know the culture.
sure.
I like for me a more authentic casting felt like the woman that they casted as Emilia Perez's lover in the second part of the movie, the
Sure.
second act.
Yeah.
And I don't see why they couldn't have casted someone for Jesse that was more, it just was more natural in that role. Yeah, I don't understand that.
Yeah, like even if you wanted to go with someone famous, I mean, there are Mexican actresses, or at the very least Spanish-speaking ones you could find, like
Yeah,
plenty.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, you know, yes, so many missed opportunities. But this is a Best Picture Oscar nominated film, so I just want to give it that its credit. A lot of people worked hard to make this film, and I guess the final question we'll leave here with everybody is: do you think Emilia Perez has a chance to actually win Best Picture? Do you think Netflix is going to get their first Best Picture win this year?
You know, I've only seen three of the Best Picture nominees so far. I'm going to watch a lot more. Of the three I've seen, this is the worst one, quite easily.
What are the other two you've seen?
Well, I mean, Dune Part 2, that's a little bit unfair, even though the Oscars don't see it that way. And The Substance.
Oh, I haven't seen The Substance.
Those are the only other two I've seen, and I like them both quite a bit, and a lot more than this one, personally.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how you'll feel about The Substance, to be honest. I'd be
yeah,
curious to hear your thoughts on that for sure.
yeah. Definitely something to look forward to because I'm definitely I love watching all the Oscar nominated films. I've watched A Complete Unknown. I've seen Dune Part Two. I've seen Conclave. I'm actually a
Yeah,
big
gotta
fan of
watch that.
Conclave. I
Yeah,
think that's a good film. But yeah, I actually think there is a high chance Emilia Perez, because of the subject matter, I can
yeah,
see Emilia Perez winning. But I do see a lot of fervor for The Brutalist, which I haven't seen yet, but I'm going to
yeah,
see. I see a lot of fervor for The Brutalist. So
yeah. I
we'll
think
see.
it
We'll see what
is.
happens.
I think you're right. I think it's mostly between those two, Brutalis and Emilia Perez. I knew this movie had a lot of momentum with awards shows, awards bodies, but pretty surprised to see 13 nominations. I don't
Yeah.
I don't really know how many of them are deserved. I need to look I
Well,
need to look through the list.
I need to go through the list, but I would say cinematography is deserved. I
Sure.
would say makeup is deserved. Um, I think that's it for me.
Yeah.
I think that's
Makeup,
it for
yeah.
me. Yeah.
Cinematography and makeup for sure.
Yeah.
Um, Acting is going to be hard for me to say until I watch more movies, but I thought the two leads were both very good. I don't know if I would
Yeah,
nominate them, but yeah.
I would nominate them at this point.
Okay.
I would nominate them because I really do think Zoe Saldana with the acting, the dancing, the singing, and then Emilia Perez's actor just I thought did a great job in many scenes. With the tough subject matter as well. So and having to be like multiple characters, I was definitely wowed by those performances.
Were you more or less wowed than the two leads from Wicked?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one for me because it's really to me in this category, Best Picture. It's hard. Musicals, musicals can't get nominated. I was a big fan of musicals in the past getting nominated, but I think Wicked because it's so fantastical. It's not like a musical biopic,
Yeah.
right? And the performances are very fantastical as well. But I would still give nominations to Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande for sure.
Right.
Because just within the role that they were given, I fully believe their characters, and so, you know,
Gotcha. Cool.
yeah. Well, that's been a reaction of Emilia Perez, and you know, I think I don't know if people. I don't know if you can get this anywhere else. So you know, I hope you all enjoyed it. Musty Creative, Carlos. Thank you so much for first of all watching the movie because I don't think I could watch the movie by myself. So thanks for watching it with me, and then for being on here and reacting with me about it.
Anytime, man. Thank you for having me, and thank you for watching it with me as well, because it was pretty rough at points. But yeah, that was fun still.
Cool. All right, I'm gonna go wrap it up right here. If you want to see more of this type of content, subscribe to the Musty Creative YouTube channel. Check out our newsletter at www.mustycreative.com. Carlos will also have some written work there as well. And I'll just follow us on all the socials, Instagram, things like that. And let us know what you think about our discussion on this film. Are you a big fan of Emilia Perez? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And why so? And, you know, hopefully we'll see more of you as we continue this journey going through the Oscar nominations. With all that, stay musty. Take care. Peace.
Peace.